And give me a minute, guys. I'm just sharing the link in the socials, and then I was talking to JJ not too long, so sent him an invite on DM and hoping join the space and come on up. I've never actually used the music button before, but I'm eyeing it up. Generally, I'm usually doing the co-host of these, but yeah, if you guys can, classic, retweet the space, and I see photo artist there, so I'll give him an invite, but we'll still give it a few more minutes just for people to see the tweet. And then I sent an invite out for you to be able to speak. As a heads up, just know that you have to be on mobile before you can actually talk. It won't work on computer. How's it going, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you right now. Good evening from this end. It's so nice being here. Shout out to everyone in the space. I see Lil Gaines, I see my man Mark Knorr, and some new friends. It's actually nice being here with me on this new ride. So yeah, welcome y'all to this new phase.
Awesome, man. Happy to have you up here. Uh, and again, we'll give it a few more minutes just for people to come in. This is probably, I believe, about 3 hours later than the usual space we hold. If I remember right, I think Ruin is still over at Cosmoverse or traveling back. I might misspeak on that, but I know they've had like a busy week, and we can always cover some of the things that have come up recently for like Stargaze and like what we're building and doing with that as well.
Okay. So maybe play a song
That
or something.
and I guess one of the other things like I can mention too is like right after this call, I'll just walk you through like how to do the actual upload. It'll take less than 5 minutes, and we'll have you like ready to set for launch tomorrow. It's not too bad. It's just if you haven't seen Studio before, it can be a little bit daunting.
Absolutely, man. I felt lost for a minute. It felt quite new, and I something I am not that used to. So that was why I was always DMing you. So sorry if I really disturbed your schedule and all of that. But yeah, I will be available for you to just walk me through it.
Oh, no worries at all, man. This week has been, well, this and last week have been a little bit hectic for me, but we'll get you set up. I was also curious, just where did you originally like start getting into NFTs, and like what platform did you use originally?
Well, for me, when I got into NFTs, the very first platform I used back then was Object, as in the Tesla's blockchain on Object. Because before NFTs, I used to just create art and usual Web 2 sort of thing where I tend to like create art and post on Instagram. Then I got connected through one of my posts with B&B creators. It's actually a community of African creatives that is trying to build a Web3 awareness over here in Nigeria and Africa, where I'm from. So they got to see my art, so they onboarded me onto the NFTs and showed me the rings about how to go about minting and all that stuff. And Tezos was the first blockchain that they really exposed me to being with Object. So that was where I started off. Then I got onto OpenSea, and then I got onto Foundation as well. So yeah.
Gotcha. And like I've seen a lot of the times when I meet people in real life and they kind of tell me like, "Hey, what chain did you see first, or where do you make your art?" I do hear Object and Tezos a lot. It seems like a lot more of I don't know, like kind of like the true artists, the ones that are there for the art. So like I always like seeing the artists that have come from Tezos come launch on Stargaze, and just kind of happy to like help them expand their audience and vice versa. Um, I always hear like their kind of profile setup is like one of their ones, and it's one of the things like where like Stargaze, like we look at it and we're like we want to be able to like get to that point with that amount of customization and stuff. And I apologize if you already mentioned, but like what year did you get into NFTs? Did you get into it during the bull run, or did you get into it like 2022, 2023, or so on?
Well, it's been 1 year this August that I got into NFTs because that was last year, 2022 August that I got into it. But before then, I had been hearing about it, but I didn't have a clue what it really was because I wasn't used to the Web3 back then. It was until B&B creators to kind of like showed me this new thing called NFTs and really put me through it. Then I came in, I saw how the space was, and what really got me hooked into the space was the creativity in here because you get to see beautiful arts every day that tends to inspire you and the connections that are being made through spaces. Unlike what you have on Instagram, where it's just you post your media and people tend to comment. There are no real connections on Instagram except maybe people connect to you through the DMs, which often happens because everyone is kind of like afraid of scams and all. And even at that, the connections are not really that deep. But with this space, the whole Twitter NFT space, I think it's quite different because here you tend to like have deeper connections with people, and you tend to see these people every day. They come out here, they talk about themselves, and with time, you just form that connections with them. And they're like your friends, even though you haven't seen them in real life. But in your head, it's like in your head and in your heart, it's like you're connected to them. Feel what they feel in a certain way. So yeah. So for me, it's been a beautiful ride, even though it's been challenging. But I see it as a journey that has been much more of growth because compared to when I go into the space and now, I think I have grown even as a person, even in my personality, than who I used to be. Because before NFTs, I was really an introvert. I think that's starting to like change now because I try to come out more from my usual self thanks to this NFT space. So yeah, it's been a really beautiful journey for me. I just hope to see how far it goes.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, if you got into kind of the space in August 22, it was after the terror crash, and only a few months like after I had gone in as well. I think it was like March 22. Uh, and I feel like I was kind of in the similar boat, right? Like when I first got around, like did a lot of like listening, didn't like necessarily get into the spaces right away, but like it definitely if you want to be successful in this space, you have to like be able to step out of your comfort zone and get out on the spaces and go up and speak. I always like refer to it being in the trenches. Like I just like using that for any time. It's kind of like the grunt work, right? It seems like something that shouldn't always matter, but it's really how you build your name in this space and you kind of build that personality and kind of get people more interested even beyond the art, just like the creator as a person and build that community. So I 100% like agree with you on that. Instagram, I've seen a few of the bigger artists be on there, but you're right. I feel like the connections aren't like nearly as personable. Um, but no, definitely appreciate you giving like that kind of background on how you got into the space. So with like that in mind, I don't know if you'll have like I'm trying to think of how to phrase the question, but you know, how many like pieces have you made? Are they generally open edition mints? Are they generally like one of ones that you only sell to one person, or have you been doing like a mix of everything and in between? And sorry, did you catch my question, or are you there? Either or. If you are muted, make sure to unmute. Otherwise, if you are not currently available or away, I can always just kind of take this time to talk about some updates for Stargaze too. So, photo artist slash JJ, let me know if you can speak right now. I'll give you about like 3 to 5 seconds. If not, I'll just say a few things coming up on Stargaze. All right. I just don't want to fill the air with like any dead space. So, some of the updates I've gotten kind of as of this morning that I think are worthy to note for Stargaze itself. The Infinity Pools, Infinity Swap contracts are live on mainnet. So they are able to go through testing right now. In addition to that, users can expect to be able to have access to this within a 1 to 2 week time frame from today. This is just kind of based on if any bugs are found, improving the user experience. Uh, kind of stuff like that. Just doing a little bit of testing before we release it to the masses and open us up to any errors that could occur. In addition to that, one of the questions I've seen a lot from creators and users alike is what's going to happen with royalties? Are royalties separate from the infinity pools and from the actual collections? And it looks like the way that we're going to implement it at the start is that any pool that is created, the collection creator royalties will be set to 0.5%. But then, one second, it looks like photo artist had requested, but then creators can go in and they can change that royalty for the, so there's two separate royalties for collections now, and it still gives the power to the creators. They just need to be active when a pool goes live in order to switch that over. And I believe we're going to have like a little thread on that later that kind of explains that difference. Photo artist, are you back?
Yeah, sorry, my phone went blank for a minute. I think Twitter ish. I just got wrong. So I missed the question. We're about to ask a question.
No worries at all. Twitter issues is nothing new. It happens all the time, and you start the spaces. So the question I had was, what kind of has your work looked like in the past? Do you usually do open edition mints? Do you usually do one of ones? Have you done like a mix of both? Have you just kind of experimented with like different formats? Uh, just kind of like what have you usually done in the past, and like how do you make your art and how do you release it?
Well, this is like my first open editions, but I've done a lot of limited editions. I've done one of one arts because I got one of one arts on object. I also have one of one arts on OpenSea, and my editions are mostly on object. But this is like my first open edition, and it's just feels so right doing it with this new blockchain and platform. So yeah.
Awesome. And that's kind of one of the things that we like to use the open edition minter for, is for new artists who aren't familiar with Stargaze to kind of come in, check out the ecosystem, and then like if they like it and they see it's legitimate, that there's like a real community here, then we hope they kind of do those one of ones and like check out the one of one minter and then like do auctions and kind of get more involved in the space. So we're definitely excited to have you. And if I remember right, I think it was Lil Gaines who originally connected you with me. Does that sound right?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
I think I'm getting wrong because I can't hear you. So I may need to drop down and come back up.
Gotcha. I'm gonna give you a thumbs up. Feel free to request again. If we keep having issues with Twitter, we'll just try to keep it short, and I'll make the questions a little bit more, um, I guess, focused on like what he would like to speak. But yeah, for anyone who missed it, we got Infinity Pools coming live to all users within 1 to 2 weeks. We got, I believe it is NFT DAOs coming to Stargaze in approximately 2 to 3 weeks. Those contracts, I believe, have been live for a bit, but we're working on the user interface and user experience changes and just ironing that all out. And photo can you hear me? Okay, cool. Looks like you're back, and I apologize for the choppiness. It's always like lagging a little bit. So I guess because we're having issues, I'm gonna go to the question that probably matters the most. Just how did you come up with the piece that you have created? Like, what inspired you? Why did you make this for Stargaze? And just kind of any info that you want to say about the piece and like let the community know about.
Well, I don't know if I can like post up the piece so that while like I explain people the everyone in the audience gets to see it. Would that be possible?
Gotcha. And it's kind of like a two-faced image, right? Like I want to say, is it created by AI or how did you?
Well, for this particular piece, because lately I started doing what I kind of like call a collaboration with the AI. So for this piece, I go into this phase where I am doing this thing that I call minimalist portraits, and that was how I created this piece. What I did was create two separate prompt images from a prompt of two women. Then I manipulated both images by joining them together to like create this beautiful piece. Then after bringing them together, of course, on a black and white background, before I added the colors and everything. Initially, the color that I used for this piece was blue, but I wasn't really comfortable with it. I feel like it didn't really do much justice to the piece, so I had to go back and work on it more. Because if you notice, the one I sent you before was the previous one, the blue one. Then I redid the piece again to like get that feel of the sisterhood in the whole excuse me, in the whole piece, to make it feel much more emotional and to get those connection that I was trying to make with this particular piece. So, like the name signifies soul sisters. For me, this piece is actually a deep one because even though it's called Soul Sisters, you know how it is where two ladies are intertwined with each other, just like the piece depicts. That was purposely made to like show the bond that they share, which mostly is deeper than friendship of blood. And soul sisters doesn't really mean that they're sisters, because all of us, we do have that one friend that we are just so close to that we tell everything. That is like our confidant that we go to whenever we are low, and they are always there for us. And we offer them the same connection as well during their low times. You get, because for me, I do have a friend like that that I've known for more than 15 years. It was actually what really inspired me creating this piece. So lately, he got heartbroken, and during the course of our discussions, it just hit me that I've known this guy for too long, and we've done practically everything together. We've grown together. We schooled together in the same high school, what we call secondary school over here in Nigeria. So that connection and deep love that we have for each other, him being my best buddy and all, it was what really made me to sit back and think like, yeah, because I know everyone has that one person that even though they're not family, they are really close to us in deeper ways that blood even can't relate. So that was the whole idea of me creating this piece to like show that bond and friendship that people do have, that doesn't necessarily have to be family, but with that bond and friendship, they get to be closer than family. So that was the whole idea behind this piece.
Well, I absolutely love that. Like a lot of people, like when they come up and speak, like if it's like my story, it's just like a little I used to draw in elementary school. So like I love hearing the background story on, like what you're creating and like the inspiration behind it. The idea of I haven't messed around too much with using like AI for art, but I know in the past, like some of the pieces we've done, we'll look at certain layers and we'll be like, oh, I wonder, like, can we fit this in there? I think like last Halloween, Hype AI, another artist from Stargaze, like we had him submit pixel pieces that he'd done completely with AI. So we had like one layer that would sometimes be an AI layer, but it meshed really well with everything else. So like the idea of kind of layering that on top of each other, like I mean, I like that. It's really, it's creative, and that's kind of how you can fine tune the piece that you're actually like looking to make. Um, Let me think if I have any other questions. Or sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out with what you just said. For me personally, I believe I see AI as a tool that can be used to like make your works better. It doesn't mean that you just necessarily have to depend on it for everything. Because personally, I believe depending on it for everything kind of like makes you get to that phase where you just feel lazy, and that's why for long I didn't really want to get into AIs, but lately, like we all know, technology always win in the long run. So I started trying to like, okay, find ways I could incorporate this AI with my own style to create something. And that's what has gotten me into this new phase of just creating portraits that I tend to call minimalist portraits with AI. Then I try to be creative with whatever image that I make from these AIs, be creative with them, then add my colors, still trying to stick to my own original pattern, still trying to stick to my own concept so that it doesn't have to be all AI because I feel like doing that, making it all AI kind of like takes out that creativity that you have. That's how I just see it.
Oh, 100%. Like, there's always, I'm trying to think of like a good analogy for it, but it'd just be like, when a family has like a good recipe, like mom's secret or like famous like cookies, right? Like, she always just does one thing different that makes that make what the cookies are that sets them apart from everything else. So I always think like that human element in like a piece of work just definitely matters where like it breaks the mold. Um, and I mean, beyond that, we always like kind of just asking like, where you came from, like the background of the piece, and you mentioned all that. What are you looking at? And if you're not sure yet, because I know we're still working on testnet, feel free to just let us know that it's still in the air. What are you thinking of price? Are you doing it in stars? How long are you going to run this open edition mint? Just kind of those two topics, because I know that's one of the things that a lot of people will ask.
Well, as far as the price goes, it being an open edition, I'm looking at making it like 500 stars. I think that should be equivalent to like $3 or some stuff, so that more people get to 18, more people get to like grab a piece, and if they feel connected to the piece, actually get a piece and tend to like bring in new collectors because I see it as a new platform with new audience. So I'm trying to like let them get to know me first, just like how I started off on Object. So it's kind of like something like this. Start off with some really low prices. Then when they get to know me well enough, then we can just build up from there. So that's the whole idea. And I think for the open mint, I think a period of 5 days would be okay. That's what I'm looking at, so that everyone gets a chance to like get something before it closes.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I think that pricing is totally fine, and like the time frame too. I've seen the comment a lot. A lot of people just auto default it to the max time, 2 weeks. I do think that sets some like people off a little bit. Just kind of in terms of it. So I think like 5 days is a very like solid pick. It's really like that's where you see like most people come check out the platform and they'll know within 5 days. So I think that's perfect. But yeah, man, I mean, we're stoked to have you check out Stargaze and be here minting with us. Beyond that, like for you in the space, I guess, like what do you just kind of envision yourself like doing? Do you just kind of do it casually? I know like a lot of artists that they hang around the space, they join the community, right? And like they just kind of hang out and just kind of join the spaces. Like the easiest example I can think of is like the squad. It's a well-known kind of like little group in Stargaze, but it's just like mostly creators. Some will be like they'll do like a lot of collaborations. Some will just speak on spaces. Like I know one of them, Wad Squad Jinx. Like I know he was busy away with like work and like his kids and for a while, but like comes back and it's just kind of like a little friendly community. So do you have like any future plans, or are you just kind of taking it slow and seeing where it goes?
Do you mean with Stargaze or the whole NFT space as a whole?
Just the NFT space as a whole. It doesn't necessarily need to be limited to Stargaze.
Well, for me, the NFT space as a whole is like the important thing for me. First of all, is that I create art because it's passion. It's something that I've always loved to do. It's something that I see myself doing forever because it makes me happy. It's something I just feel in my element when I do it. I don't need to force it. It just comes naturally. And for me, art is a way of expressing my thoughts. So I don't think I I won't be here for that long. I'll be here for as long as it takes. I just want to be really, really noticed and successful in the space as well. Because I see this new technology as something that is still in the kickoff phase. It's going to get huge in time. Because, like I said, technology always wins, and we are in this early phase. So right now it's like the grinding phase, and we being the people that came after the massive bull run now get to like work harder to like get out because the space is really saturated and all. So I just tend to like want to improve with myself in my craft with the all the inspirations that I see around me, and try to make it out there because I know being successful in the space is a testament to myself that yeah, I came, I saw, I conquered, and I did something that really resonates with my passion. Because for me, doing art was something that I had to fight with my peeps to like chase my dreams. At some point in my life, I had to study something I never had a passion for that I still don't use to this day because in I studied estate management in school. It wasn't something I wanted to study or anything, but I had to do it because my peeps, my parents and all, they really didn't think art was a thing to do. They over here in Africa where I'm from, it's not something that when you say you want to be an artist, I don't know if it's changing now. I believe it's changing now, but back then, if you were like you want to be an artist, your parents would be like, "Why would you want to be an artist?" Because your idea is like artists are not successful and all of that, and they just tend to like want you to change from who you really are into something else. And I had to like go out of that phase just to be that daughter and son at some point. But I found out that I wasn't happy during that phase. And for me, my university days were one of my worst because I had to deal with depression, trying to like do something you never loved or anything. And during that phase, I was like, after this whole phase of schooling, I know I can't do this anymore because gets to that point where you're like a different person. You just know that this isn't you, even though getting out of bed was a struggle at some point because it was like you were going out there to put in another max that doesn't really represent you. And I held back being who I was for so long. So this space offers me the opportunity to like really chase my passion. So I just intend to do that, yeah, and just build something new with this brand, something that can be remembered in the long run. Even if I leave or die or something, maybe I think that's the only thing that can stop me from coming here. That has to be death or something. Yeah, something that I leave a mark on that, yeah, I was here, I did something good, and in my soul, I feel satisfied. So that's what counts. So yeah, I'll be here for a long run.
100%, man. I mean, like, I know exactly how you feel when it's like you're doing something like that you don't really like care about, right? Like you're doing it just because you feel like it's the only thing that has to be done, and once you can finally branch out into something new, and like whether or not it's something that you can like sustain off of, right? It just feels good to be able to like get out and be able to like pursue your passion in some form in one way or another. So like hats off to you. I'm not familiar with the culture over there, but I get the concept of like, people saying like, oh, there's no way you could do this and like be successful. So I'm just happy at Stargaze, like we can at least like provide a little bit of that opportunity, right, for you to get a little bit of a greater audience, help you just kind of like be able to pursue that passion a little more. And I don't know. I mean, like in terms of your story, like it's one of the best ones I've heard on the spaces that I've been a part of. I guess right now, I'll ask you real quick. Do you have anything else that you would like to say? And if anyone has any questions, you know, about the upcoming collection or like his background or anything like that, request now. But yeah, if you have any final words, let me know. Otherwise, I'll finish off with a few things from Stargaze just as reminders.
Well, my final words would be thank you, Stargaze, for the opportunity to like have my first open edition with you guys. I really appreciate that. And I just want to thank everyone for showing up. for supporting and coming into the space as well. I see so many friends in here. I see Lucky, I see Kadeze, I see Mark Noel, and some new friends as well. And these are really great artists in the space. I think you should really tap in on them as well because they are very talented. And they are also my brothers from Nigeria and my sister as well. So, yeah. And yeah, thank everyone for coming out. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And for any of the other artists who may have joined in that you had just mentioned, feel free to reach out to, you'll see them up here, Sunnyside Reapers on Twitter. Uh, that's actually like my personal account. I help do like the creator onboarding and outreach and explain to them how they can apply for featured. So yeah, or ask in the Discord. Doesn't have to be through that either. We'll be happy to help you guys. Uh, but again, man, thanks for like kind of sharing like your background, like dreams and passion. Like loved every moment of it. We'll probably close out the space here pretty quick. The last thing I did want to mention is that uh, just as a reminder, we will be doing a special Halloween drop this year again on October 27th. Look to our Discord for more details, but any artists or creators can submit to be featured on the website as long as they submit by October 15th, I believe. So I just wanted to bring that up as a last note. With the final words there, I don't see any requests. Thank you guys all for coming to this. Uh, Photo artist, JJ, I'm going to reach out to you from my personal account so we can get you set up on mainnet here. It won't take very long at all. Uh, Thank you all for joining and have a good rest of your day and have a great weekend.